Hello class, welcome to the second activity in lesson 3 of unit 7. Okay, so as we were mentioning in the previous activity, very key idea to get is that if you are to the left of 0 on a number line, that's, if you're talking about temperature, it would be colder, and to the right would be warmer. If you're just talking about the value, the numbers that are to the left are less, the numbers to the right are greater, so it's important to keep that in mind. All right, so our task statement, rational numbers on a number line. So we're going to plot the numbers -2, 4, -7, and 10 on the number line. And we're going to label each point with its numeric value. So we're going to put the actual value right there. And for that, I'm actually going to use a text box. So we'll use the smaller numbers for that. And we'll go ahead and just make it all the way across here. Okay, so the first one is -2. So we want to look and see where -2 is. So if you look on the line here, you can see here's 0. -2 is going to be 1, 2. It's going to be right here. Okay, so actually, now that I think about it, let's go really small with this. And this is going to be -2. -2. All right, drag it right there. Okay, that's -2. The next one they want us to graph is 4. So here's 0, 1. Well, this must be 2, 3, 4. Okay, so 2, 3, 4. There we go. We'll put 4 in right there. And then we have -7. All right, -7. This is -2. Well, this is -3, -4, -5, -6, -7. So we'll count it one more time. This is -2. -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, right here. -7, not equals 7, -7. Okay, and then we have 10 is our last number. Well, okay, we're going to move to the right. It's a positive number. I know this is 4, so this must be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 right here at the end. Okay, so there we have the numbers plotted on the line. And so it's good to know where everything is in relation to everything else. All right, so then we're going to be remembering this to help answer these questions here. So let's get right to it. Number 2, the first one, we were to decide whether each inequality statement is true or false and be ready to explain our reasoning. So -2, it says, is less than 4. Is -2 less than 4? Well, here's -2. Here's 4. -2 is to the left of 4, and that's where the numbers get less. So this would be a true statement. We can say this is true. All right. Next one, -2 is less than -7. Let's find those on the number line. -2. Here's -7. -7 is to the left of -2. That means -7 is smaller, so this can't be true. -2 is not smaller. -7 is smaller, so this would be false. And then for the next one, 4 is greater than -7. Here's 4. Here's -7. Oh yes, 4 is way to the right of -7. 4 is definitely greater. This is a true statement. Okay, and it's, again, worth thinking about because I know that if you are ignoring or not seeing the negative sign, or if you don't know what that means, you're going to be confused because you're just going to see this as 7, and you're going to think 7 is bigger than 4, but this is not 7. This is -7. All right, and last one here in the list, we have -7 is greater than 10. Let's find those on the number line. Here's -7. Here's 10. Well, 10 is clearly way bigger, right? 10 is a positive number, and this is a negative number. 10 is bigger, so that means -7 is not bigger. This is a false statement. All right, so the next part of the activity, the remaining parts, you're going to use this link to the applet that I have here. Here is a screenshot of what the applet looks like. And you can actually just plot your fractions here if you would like, but I suspect it will help you guys to see the number line with these values added in. Okay, so Let's go ahead and plot those points on the applet. So I'm going to click on the applet. You just scroll down a little bit to get to the activity. It's 3.3. Okay, here we go. So here are the points that we need to plot on the number line. Now you can see most of them are out of 4, right? But we also have one value that's -3/2, and we have one that's 5/8. Okay, so we can actually just show whatever we need in order to plot the point, and then we can change what we have. So if we just go left to right, -3/2, this is -3/2. We can show halves for now. And then -3 of them, you're going to click on it and drag it. -3/2, you should know that's going to be, we're going to be past -1, because if it was -1, it would be -2/2. So it's going to have to go past. It's going to be negative. This is like -1.5. Okay, if you were to make this improper fraction into a mixed number, it would be -1.5, which means it's going to be in between -1 and -2. Now, for the next one, for 5/8, we would need to have 8s on there if you were not sure where things go. So you click Show 8s. And let's find 5/8. 5/8 is less than 1, right? Because 8/8 would be 1. This is less than 1, but it's more than 0. So we're going to, if we start at 0, we're going to go to the right because it's more than that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And then the last 3 are out of 4, or which means out of quarters. So we can show the quarters. 5 quarters. You're going to go here. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5 quarters. And then 1 quarter, let's just pass 0. 0, 1 quarter. And then -3/4, that's going to be to the left of 0, right? So if we have it showing quarters, -1, -2/4, -3/4, right there. Okay, and this helps as well to look at it without the extra marks to get an idea of where things are. You should also be able to tell that 1/4 would be the same thing as 2/8. Okay, this is the same thing as 2/8, right? This is the same thing as 1 1/4. You could also call it 1 2/8. So if I were to have, if I show the 8s, let's see what that means. You can see it right here. 1/4, it's at 2/8, right? Because this, I'm showing the 8s, so this is 2 of them. And this is 1 2/8, right? This would be -6/8. If you actually count this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so that's important to be aware of. If we just show the halves, then you can also know that if this is 0 and this is 1, this has to be 1/2. So 1/4, it's halfway in between 0 and a half, right? 5/8 is a little bit more than a half because 4/8 would be a half. So this is a little bit past a half. Okay, so it's important to be able to look at these different values and make sense of where they are at on the number line. You can see here the negative values, they're always going to be to the left of 0, and they're always going to be less than anything to the right or anything that's positive. That's important when we answer questions here coming up. Okay, so Andre says that 1/4 is less than -3/4 because of the two numbers. 1/4 is closer to 0. Well, let's look and see what we had again. We have 1/4 and -3/4. Here's 1/4. Here's -3/4. And Andre says that 1/4 is less. Is 1/4 less? 1/4 is to the right of -3/4 on the number line. So Andre, unfortunately, is not correct. We do not agree with Andre. We disagree with Andre. Okay, so the next set of questions are on the next page here, and you want to try to keep this in mind to answer all these. See if we can just think these through. Which number is greater, 1/4 or 5/4? Well, 5/4 is greater, right? 5/4, it's here. It's to the right of 1/4. Which is further from 0? That's a little bit of a different question, and we're going to get more into that later on about what that means and what the terminology for that is. But which is farther from 0, 1/4 or 5/4? Well, clearly 5/4 is out here further away from 0 than 1/4, which is closer. Which number is greater, -3/4 or 5/8? This should be very easy. This is a negative number, and this is a positive number. The positive number is always going to be bigger. If you look at it on the number line, you can see that -3/4 and 5/8. Okay, but it's positive compared to a negative. That makes it easy. All right, and then which one is further from 0? So same two fractions here, -3/4 or 5/8. Well, let's look at it. Negative 3/4 is out here. That's the distance. And then 5/8 is here. It's close, right? But if we were to think about this in terms of eighths, I'll show the eighths. Remember what we said earlier. This is 1, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6/8. So this is 6/8, and this is 5/8. So this one's actually a little bit further away from 0. Okay, so is the number that is farther from 0 always the greater number? Okay, well, if we look at a number line, if it's farther from 0, is it always greater? Well, I mean, let's look here. Let's just look at this example. Let's provide a counter example to this here. -3/2, that's more than one whole mark away from 0, right? If this is one spot away, one whole away from 0, this is even more than that. Whereas 1/4 is a lot less than one whole number away from 0. But this is still bigger because this is a positive number. So as far as the value of the number, how far away it is from 0, if it's further away, that doesn't mean it's a bigger number at all, because it could be a negative number and be further away, and its value would actually be way less than a positive number, no matter how close to 0 the positive number is.